5 Horrifying Facts About Baby Farms. Number 5. London's unregulated baby farms. In 1874, an Australian newspaper ran a report on the problems of baby farms in London. The first major problem cited by the article was that the baby farms were run like a business, or that they were set up to make money rather than provide loving care for infants, but the fact that they were completely unregulated. London supposedly had hundreds of small baby farms, but only 3 of those farms were genuinely registered as a business. In other words, no one was overseeing what was going on inside the private homes that ran baby farms for working mothers and wealthy men who gave away their mistresses' babies. Without oversight, numerous atrocities were committed against innocent babies, and it was seldom brought to light unless the mother reported her personal findings or suspicions to the police. Even then, if the woman was disreputable, the chances of the police believing her were probably slim to none. Number 4. Extortion by Chicago doctors. Chicago has almost always been seen as a city of corruption. Anything goes in Chicago, including baby farms. Unlike the baby farms in other areas of the U.S. and other countries, however, Chicago's baby farms were an extortion business run by doctors. As the reports go, many of the higher-ups in the baby farm businesses were medical doctors, and the baby farms were situated outside the city limits in the hopes of keeping them away from the prying eyes of the police. The daughters of the wealthy were as much the victims as the babies. Unmarried girls were sent to these baby farms to give birth to their illegitimate babies. Afterward, the babies were kept at the farms, and the girls' families were made to pay a hefty price for their upkeep. If the girls or their families threatened to go to the police, the doctors would threaten exposure of the illegitimate birth, which would ruin the young woman for marriage. Number 3. Death from disease and illness in Perth. In 1907, a baby farm, Mrs. Mitchell, its proprietress, came under the scrutiny of the law. According to some reports, the Perth baby farm had taken in 87 infants, 83 of whom had died within the house. 2 of the infants died in a hospital, and 1 infant died shortly after her mother reclaimed her. Mitchell claimed that this was because she took in sick children. A doctor whom Mitchell hired confirmed that over the years, he was called in to witness her collection of sick children. The infants had everything from diarrhea to vomiting, whooping cough, and bronchitis. He instructed her to cease collecting sick children and to give the infants a proper diet. Mitchell failed on both accounts. The court decided that she had willfully neglected giving clean and proper care for the children, although many now believe that Mrs. Mitchell was a serial killer. One witness that came forward during Mitchell's trial stated that while his wife was sick with cancer, both he and his wife had considered taking their daughter to Mitchell for care. Mitchell told them that the child would come down with the mother's same sickness. Instead of leaving his child with Mitchell, he took the baby to his mother, while his wife was in the hospital. Number 2. Baby starved in Minnesota. Out of Minnesota came a horrifying story of a baby who was starved nearly to death. The single mother, a young woman with no one to count on, had left her baby in the care of a baby farm. The mother worked and paid $2.50 a week, a lot of money in 1906 for her infant's care. At first, the mother visited her son as often as she could, but then she got sick and had to stay away while she recovered. After the mother was well, she returned to the baby farm and found her son in a severe state of starvation. His baby fat was gone, and his skin hung on his bones. The mother left the farm with her son and took him to the hospital. In the 2 months he had been under the care of the baby farm keeper, her son went from healthy to famished, but the doctors and nurses firmly believed that the baby could be saved. An investigation was launched, and a worker was sent to visit the farm. The worker found the conditions to be severely revolting. The babies were filthy and neglected, bedclothes were soiled, and it was reported that the keeper was serving the infants soured milk. Number 1. Poisoning in London. The infamously named Finchley Baby Farm was ran by two women on the false premise that they would take care of young mothers until they gave birth and would then find the babies' homes afterward. Annie Walters, a nurse, and Amelia Sack, a midwife, both ran this disreputable baby farm, where mothers paid them money to find proper homes for the unwanted babies. The two con artists were eventually exposed in 1903 when one of the surrendered infants was found dead in Walters' possession. The infant had been killed with chlorodyne. After their trial, both women were hanged for the murder of the baby, although they claimed that they were innocent. It is believed that well over a dozen babies may have been killed by Walters and Sack, even though the bodies hadn't been found. The babies left in their care simply disappeared and were never seen again.